We gotta record the intro. We gotta go back and record the
Hey,
intro.
we're recording the intro.
Recording the intro.
Hey, Clint, guess what? We got a guest.
We do. Whoever could it be?
It's a legend.
It is a legend. We did promise a
We
legendary interview,
promise a
and we
legend.
delivered.
If you've been watching, paying attention to Razorback recruiting, and you've been for any time at all, you've heard of the man named Otis Kirk.
Yep. And
And
here's what we do on this podcast. What we really do is we break down my high school film. And while Otis reevaluated the entire star system based on my high school film, I'm the one and only negative two star recruit. Negative two star.
and none of that happened.
No, none of that happened. I made it all up. I made it
Yeah.
all up, but I fooled you. But what I'm not going to fool you into doing is giving this podcast a like, giving it a share,
Here.
and then subscribing.
That's right.
There you go.
And you'll get to hear a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff about recruiting now, recruiting in the past, and just as things that Otis has seen. There's probably not a better person in the state to ask about how recruiting's changed. It's different, and he even talks about some of the coaches that he likes and don't like.
Yeah.
We'll just throw that out there. State
And
of
he's
the
been
end.
covering Arkansas sports for how many decades, Travis? I mean,
Yeah.
I remember him getting out of college and listening to him on the radio on Drive Time Sports, listening to him with Randy Rainwater.
Yeah.
He basically had the Trey Biddy spot before Trey Biddy had the
That's
Trey
right.
Biddy spot.
That's right. That's right. So, folks, like, share, subscribe, and listen to some Sean Michelle, and then enjoy the podcast. Booyah.
1, 2, 3, 4. You ever seen a lame man walk? Ever heard a dumb man talk? Ever seen a blind man see? I promise you a change his name. You ever seen a cancer dead? Ever seen all the poor get fed? Ever seen a prisoner set free? I promise you a change his name. Ever seen a broken heart made whole? Ever seen an orphan find a home? Ever seen the weak find the strength? I promise you a change his name. Ever seen the sick get healed? Ever seen them?
What's up, everybody? It's time. It's time for the Hawg Slop podcast. I'm your boy, Bigger T. Joined as always by my man, Big C. How you doing, Clint?
I'm good. All right. No.
Listen, folks, we're joined today by a legend. We told you last week we had a legend coming on the podcast, and we're delivering thanks to him being willing to hang out with two knuckleheads like us. But Otis Kirk from Pig Trail Nation and Hogville.net, and through the years, he's been everywhere in Razorback land. We've been reading your stuff since we were sneaking into, well, not sneaking in, skipping class to go to the library, not to study, because we didn't study in the library, Otis.
No.
We went there to read your stuff, okay, and to read the sports page. So, Otis Kirk, thanks for coming on, man. How you doing today?
Thanks for asking me, man. I'm not a legend, but thanks for asking me. I
Oh, you
appreciate the
are.
words, but I'm not a legend. But no, I appreciate y'all for asking me, man.
No, I do. I'm with Travis. I remember reading your article. I remember listening to the buzz to hear you talk about the recruits that were coming on the hill back when, National Sign Day used to be like Christmas morning. And now you you don't know if the kid's going to stay a day or a week or,
That's
have
right.
him for a year or two.
Definitely changed.
Yeah.
I know I put out a newsletter, what you're talking about, when I was on drive time, and I put out a newsletter like 5 or 6 months out of the year or something like that, and it covered it. I mean,
Yeah.
now, now with the internet and with the year-round recruiting, it wouldn't even start to cover. So, yeah, it's definitely changed. But I know, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
it's just, it's a different story now. But yeah, signing day used to be a big event. It's not as big now. Well, the early signing period, I guess, is. But as you say, how long will they stay after they get here? So
are you just getting them ready for somebody else?
Yeah, it's part of the game, man. It's just part of the game now.
Well, speaking of which, let's jump into it, man. We got new leadership on the football team with Silverfield, and we're through portal season. I know that was a crazy time for you. You were probably checking your text and emails and social media and everything.
Out.
Yeah,
I was worn out. I'm not gonna lie. It's 15 to 20-hour days, and the worst was that Wednesday or Thursday, right before it ended. Wednesday or Thursday there, where I think I worked 20 hours. I covered the Arkansas basketball game for my 14 papers too. And I was just getting ready to go to bed after I wrote my story. And one of the recruits texted me or direct messaged me on Twitter and told me he signed with Arkansas. And so I had to write that story. I got quotes and wrote that story. So it made about a 20-hour day. Yeah, it was a good deal. I appreciate him reaching out to me. I don't know why he did to this day because I don't even know the kid. But I know who he is, but I'd never talked. But it was Adam Hawks, the offensive lineman from Oregon State.
Okay.
6'5", 305. Yeah, he reached out to me like 11 o'clock that night. It's 10:30, 11, probably closer to 11. But yeah, he direct messaged me on Twitter, and it's pretty cool. I appreciated it. I thought I had a scoop, but then I saw where his agent had told Danny and RD, so we all got to have it. But which I don't mind that. But I was the only one that had quotes from him. So, and I actually sent them to RD and Danny too. So, I don't think I don't know if they were used or not, but whatever. But I did get quotes from the kid, and one of the few I got quotes from this year where I actually tried and got it. It was, like I said, it was late that night, and I'd been working since about 5 o'clock that morning, and I got up about 5 or 6 the next morning, started in again. It's probably 12 or 12:30 when I actually got to sleep. Well, it's probably more like 12:30 or 1 when I actually got to sleep. I think I went to bed about 1, but about 12. But anyway, it was, and I thought that'd be great just having one. Now that it's over, I am glad there was only one portal deal.
Yeah.
Because used to there was two. There's always been two. But during that 15, 16-day period from January the 2nd to the January the 16th, I wasn't so sure it's such a great deal Sunday.
It was
it got hectic. And then on that Friday, the last day it was open, I think they signed. I put on Facebook, Hawg Slop, they'd sign about 10 or 12 that weekend, and there was one made fun of me, and turned out they signed 8 or 9 that first Friday, and then they had a couple more during the weekend. So they signed about 10 or 11 kids the last. Of course, when the portal closed, that didn't mean they couldn't sign more kids. It just meant that kids can't enter the portal. That's all that meant. People got confused about that, and I get it. If you don't live and breathe it, it's easy to get confused about it. But the portal closed that Friday, but and now it's back. Well, it's not back open, but Miami and Indiana kids are in their portal now. They had 5 days after the championship game.
Is there any update on the kid from Miami?
I don't know. I don't have an update.
He hasn't been to Arkansas yet, though, has he?
No, he's looking around. I see I'll be surprised I won't be surprised if Arkansas adds some kids, but I don't think they'll be adding anybody else for midterm because actually a few days, last Friday before last was the last day to get in, and it's already been now about 10 days. So they can get a waiver on that, and they do. Yeah, like the kid from Ohio State, the defensive tackle, they got a waiver to get him in, but there's a limit to that too. How many? But they got about 40-something kids, and they did well. I like what Silverfield's doing. I've only talked to him one time, and that was during the press conference. I don't know if he qualifies to talk to him, but I like what he's doing. And I've talked to some people, though, in the program who say it's night and day different to the good with him. And so we'll see. There again, it's going to come down to can he win or not, and that's what it always comes down to coaches. But I like what he's doing. I think he was aggressive in the portal. And I think that's important at Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I liked his projection. He didn't just go after older players. I know with Coach Signetti at Indiana, that's the going thing now, go after older players. He did go after some, but he also went after some 5-stars and 4-stars that were in college for 1 or 2 years and didn't get to play where they're at because they went to some stud school. And so he took them. And I liked it. That's where I've said Arkansas should make really good in the portal. Right now, being 2-10, 6-7, 7-6, whatever, you're not going to get most of those 4- and 5-star out-of-state kids. You'll get some, but you won't get them all. But if you get them out of the portal, what those kids do, they all want to go to Oregon or Texas or Alabama, Georgia. They won't go to these big-time schools. Well, they get there and they see there's 3 or 4 5-stars ahead of me, and so they want to leave, and so they won't go where they can play. And that's where Arkansas enters the picture. And so I think it's very smart to do that. They haven't always done that at Arkansas, and he did, and I'm really impressed with that. And also, I said when they were looking for a coach, the first thing that coach should do is offer these in-state kids that were committed elsewhere, and he did and got 4 of them. That blew me away too, because he did that, and it was very, very smart. And I think that, honestly, that changed. It didn't change my opinion, but I think it changed a lot of people's opinion about him.
It gave you some confidence.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get it. I mean, he wasn't necessarily anyone's first choice, but I think he was a better choice than some of the ones that were mentioned. And I think he's probably about as I mean, obviously everybody wants Nick Saban or somebody like that, but I mean, that wasn't happening. Of the realistic options, he was as good as any, and he was a good choice, I think. But there again, and that's what a guy told me. He said, "You don't know he'll be good." And I said, "You don't know what he won't be good." I said, "We don't know." So all I'm saying is give the man a chance. Yeah. And that's what I would say about you guys or about anybody else. Me, because when I first went on Drive Time, you were talking about listening to me on the radio. When I first went on Drive Time, nobody ever heard of me. Well, not very many people had ever heard of me either. But they gave me a chance, and and I mean, I was at the meanest star then, and a lot of people had never heard of me. Yeah. But he gave me a chance to go on, and then I went on to the Morning News, Democrat Gazette, Rivals, Hogville, CBS, and all kinds of places. So I mean, you got to give a man a chance to see what he can do, and then what he does with that chance. I'll say the same thing about Silverfield. I'd say about myself, you guys, or anybody else. What you do with that chance is up to you.
Yeah.
Yes, so what he does with it is up to him. I don't know what he'll be great, and I don't think I've ever seen him be great. I think he'll do a good job. There's a lot of difference saying he'll do a good job and be great. I try to stay. I got burnt doing that during the recruiting when I first started doing this. This guy's going to be great. That guy's going to be great. And they turn out to be busts. So I've tried to stay away from anybody going to be great. I think he'll be good, but I always put in there, I think. And that's what I say about Silver. I think he'll do a good job, but we'll see. I mean, but that'll play out, as we said earlier, that'll play out on the field, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we talked about on here. Arkansas during the coaching search, we wasn't going to get the John Calipari of football. Right. That wasn't anybody on the list. If we, and my personal one that I had was I liked Golish, and I was kept, But Golish, Summerall, Silverfield, Morris, any of those guys, you were going to have to do exactly what you just said. They weren't proven
none of those guys
long term. They weren't even like a Matt Campbell or Fitzgerald or Franklin or some of those guys.
Yeah,
even.
Franklin would have been my first choice because I actually know him personally a little bit. I've met him, and he'd be the closest thing. And I don't know what he's a John Calipari of football. I don't know if there was one. That's what I've asked so many people wanted one. I said, well, who was one?
That's right.
If you don't go give him the benefit of the doubt, you might say James Franklin. Please don't say John Gruden.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I mean, Gruden's a good coach, but those emails, he wouldn't have been in 2 homes till those emails would have popped up, and you just can't. It's going to be used against
every coach would have pulled those out.
Yeah. And so I don't know that there was actually a Calipari. I think Matt Campbell would have been obviously a good choice. But, I mean, there again, I don't know that any of these guys, I mean, even Franklin, I trust what he did at Vanderbilt. I look what he did at Penn State minus this season. I mean, he's pretty dang good. But I don't know what he's the Calipari of football. But he was probably, in my book, and that's just my opinion, the closest thing to it. All those guys that you mentioned in that American Athletic Conference, Silverfield had a winning record against all those guys. Yeah. So, I mean, he had a winning record against Sumrall and Golish both. I think he was 3-0 against Golish. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if head-to-head means anything, I don't know. And there was one thing that I kind of got annoyed by when he first got here. People saying he had the most NIL at Memphis this season and didn't win the conference. But actually, Golish had the most NIL this season. I don't know about past years, but this particular season, the 25, Golish, where he was at South Florida, had the most portal money. I mean, NIL money, portal money, recruit money, whatever you're going to call it. But regardless of that, I mean, Silverfield, Golish, Sumrall, Morris, although even Campbell to a lesser degree, maybe would have been question marks. I don't know.
I agree. There's question marks on all of them. Yeah.
Well, there wasn't a guy out there that was just like, okay, this is the no-brainer pick. You're gonna be taking a chance. And I was one of those that was like, when Silverfield was announced as the hire, was about like going out to my vehicle and seeing a flat. That level of excitement. But then he slowly won me over, and part of the reason he won me over was flipping recruits almost instantly, getting a lot of kids staying home. How did he do that, Otis? I mean, what was the big difference from him going into a kid from Little Rock, Arkansas's home versus Sam Pittman? What was the difference?
I don't think Sam really wanted most of those kids. I mean, of those kids, the only one took official visit here was TJ Hodges, and Sam and them didn't really want him. They wanted a kid from Mississippi that was committed to Mississippi State. I assume signed with Mississippi State, but I think Sam felt like, and I may be putting words in his mouth by him, I'm sorry, but I got the feeling, and talking to sources too, not just my gut, but that he felt like they were asking for too much NIL money. So, to me, there's a difference between a kid from Arkansas and a kid from anywhere else, even Texas. There's just a difference. And you've got to try to keep those kids at home. I mean, when you take a Danny Beal, you've got Cross County in your corner, man. You've got Cross County. You take TJ Hodges, you've got Mark Tree and Bryant in your corner. It just happens. I mean, unless somebody's mad because he left Mark Tree to go, but I don't know about that. I don't know all that personal, but I just know that what I'm saying, you get these kids, in Little Rock Central, man, they've been good to the Hogs. That school has. And then, Bryant sent 2 up here, and they weren't even signing kids from Bryant. In fact, I've heard he wasn't even returning the Bryant coach's phone call, and that's amazing, because if that's true, and it may not be true, but it's just amazing they weren't signing kids from Bryant, because man, that's a football factory lately, and you've got to try on those kids, and they
nothing else. Your
lineman signed with Oklahoma didn't even get an offer till Bobby Petrino took over, and Bobby offered him. It's too late, but Bobby tried. But I mean, how can you let a kid go to OU without at least offering him, a defensive lineman at that? Because those kids don't grow on trees. That's one of my favorite saying. Defensive linemen don't grow on trees. When you get one, you've got to try to sign them, man. Or when you have one available, you need to try to sign them. You won't always get them, but you got to try. You won't get them if you don't try.
Well, and if you're a sports nerd like us, we follow recruiting. It hasn't been as fun to follow recruiting at Arkansas the last few years. Now, some of that is because of more portal kids. It's just now that's becoming a little. It's being covered by y'all better. I've seen that by the people that cover recruiting, because you've had to shift, right? Because high school recruiting is not as important as it used to be. Well, it's still important, but you know what I mean. You've had to.
Junior college has been hit by portal, and high school has too. Both of them have been hit. And anyone says they haven't, it's lying to you, because they've both been affected, and not in a good way. Doesn't mean, and I think JUCO more than high school, but you've got to almost be a stud now in high school to get an offer from Arkansas or SEC schools, because they're going. If you can get an 17 or 18-year-old or 22-year-old. Especially with Indiana's success, everybody's thinking, "Oh, let's get the older kid," and I get that. But I think, not talking basketball, but Calipari still believes in getting high school kids. And I'm looking at Darius Aycock. How could you not love that kid? I saw today where ESPN's got him. I know we're talking football recruiting, but I will say this: ESPN's got him number 9 in their mock draft now. Well, he was down like 25, and I thought, man, there's no way that kid's going into 20. But ESPN has him going to Dallas Mavericks at number 9 right now. So so everybody's watching. So what he's doing is being noticed. We'll get back to football, but I just want to bring that up.
No, myself and Travis actually we communicate a lot on Marco Polo, which is just a messaging video app. Mm-hmm. And one thing I told him, I was watching that LSU game, and I said, Travis, I'm not wishing this upon him. Something could happen and he can no longer be available tomorrow for the rest of the season. And he is the best freshman to ever play at the University of Arkansas.
Man, he is good. That game reminded me of Kobe Bryant. He scored 81. Yeah. The day he scored 81 points, I was watching that game. And I know he scored 31, not 81. But I'm just saying, that's what it reminded me. The guy couldn't miss, man. Yeah. And it was incredible. And, they were on the verge of defeat. And Darius but, man, he's good. He is really good. And
and to stick with the basketball thing, a question I put out on our social media today, I was snowed in, kind of bored. We pretty much decided Acuff's best freshman we've seen at Arkansas. That's kind of become a given. Is Malik Thomas, where's he going to rank in that by the end of the year?
Man, I don't know.
Do we have a Darren McFadden, Felix Jones thing going with basketball right now?
Darren's the best football player I've ever seen. And I mean, in Arkansas. And I've seen Basil Shabazz. I've seen Jerry Eckwood. And for some, that'd be like saying Coke, Pepsi, and Dr. Pepper, It's personal taste. I say that not to say anything bad about Eckwood or Basil, but well, I mean, it wouldn't be anything bad to say somebody's in the conversation.
Yeah, if you say I'm slightly worse than Darren McFadden, I'm not taking that.
Yeah, I'd like saying I'm in there with Orville Henry and Bill Connor or something. I'd hope I'd be third, and it'd only be somebody being nice put me third in that group. But I mean, there's not a bad word there. So, but that But anyway, I don't know where Malik would be, but he's good. But
and he's getting better.
Corliss, Sydney, those guys were outstanding. I mean, Corliss, boy, he's just Corliss for some, I don't know, but you had Todd Day, Lee Mayberry. I mean, there's been Big O. There's been some great players at Arkansas. I mean,
in the long run, I'd say for sure, you're going to put Corliss with them. You're going to put, Corliss is the best we've ever seen, especially bringing us the championship and all the things he did. But I'm talking about just freshman year.
Yeah,
Corliss's freshman year was a little slower. Mm-hmm. I mean, he still had a good freshman year, but you know what I mean. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
It wasn't his sophomore year.
What's he won 6 weeks in a row? SEC Freshman of the Week. I mean, that doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen very often. And so, if ever, I mean, Acuff's a stud, man. I mean,
I think he's going to be
one or number 2, number 3. He's right there. And I mean, you can make a great argument. He is the best freshman to play at Arkansas. I mean, you really could. I mean, but then again, he's had more chances maybe than some of the others have. But there again, that goes back to what I said earlier. What you do with the chance is up to you. Yeah. And he took that chance and ran with it, man. So I mean, it's not a knock. I mean, but he's great. Anyway.
Well, Otis, did you have something else, Clint?
Well, I was going to say, I think he's going to be, he's going to be the next great Cal point guard in the league. I think he's going to be mentioned in the SGA, John Wall, Derrick Rose conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to be mentioned in the same breath as those guys.
If he can avoid injury and keep progressing like he has, I think so too. I don't see a negative with him. He plays great, man. But I could see him definitely being in that conversation. He could probably shoot better than John could, I mean, but John Wall, Derrick Rose, I mean, those guys were great. I mean, Cal's, and that's what Kendrick Perkins was kind of on Cal today. And I said, man, he coached great players before he ever came to Arkansas. I mean, I can name Malik Monk for one that he coached was pretty dang good. And I mean, Monk wasn't close to the best player, but I'm just saying he coached some pretty good players before he got to Arkansas. Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo, and I mean, all kinds of guys could go on. I mean, well, that's what I said. Just check out the roster of the sports you supposedly cover, Kendrick. You'll see some of the players, Kentucky. So, I mean, and I mean, the Lakers got a Theo last year from Arkansas, and they had Kentucky before that. So, I mean, that dude's been hurt, but I mean, he's going to put more kids in the pros, and this is going to be an every year deal with him, man. I mean, and a lot of them are freshmen. He goes back to what we said. It's portal recruiting, but he believes in getting these elite freshmen, and he's capable of doing that. And he's got the kid from J.J. Andrews from Little Rock, man. I mean, just good as God. His dad was the best offensive lineman I've ever seen at Arkansas. Sean Andrews.
Oh yeah.
And he's the best offensive lineman I've ever seen at Arkansas. And I mean, I go back to I go back a long ways, but I mean, and there again, like I said, when I say somebody's best I've seen, that's just my opinion. That's why I don't get into these GOAT discussions, because it's nothing more than one person, whoever's saying it's their opinion, nothing more. I mean, there's no facts behind it. I mean, people say Michael Jordan's a GOAT or this guy. It's just opinions is all it is. And anybody in that discussion there, again, you can make a case for it. You can make a case for it. Like I said about Darius. I mean, or like I said about Basile and Jerry Eckwood, you could darn sure make a case they're the best. Injury got Eckwood, that hurt him, and then academics kind of got Basile, baseball too. But anyway, like I said, 3 great ones, man.
I tell you, you could do worse. You could do worse. No, you could not. You couldn't do better as a blocking combo of Jason Peters and Sean Andrews.
Yeah.
At tight end and right tackle.
Oh, man.
Tell them you're running it there, and they ain't stopping it.
People are griping about Andrews. I mean, Peters playing tight end. I'm saying, why? You can put him next to Andrews, and you will have somebody out on that side of the line, man. You put him at the opposite tackle, and you're splitting them up. Leave him at tight end, put him next to Andrews, and run behind that big suckers, man. I mean,
he made some big catches a couple times too.
Yeah. He catch the ball, but I mean, if you want to run the ball, just go behind those two and see if you can stop them. You shake their hand and say, "Good job," because I mean, those
they got a lot of yards.
Not just 2 big guys, but 2 great players blocking wise.
Yeah. Well, Otis, probably first ballot Hall of Famer in Peters.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, he should be.
Should be. Well, Otis, let's go back. How did you get into this realm of doing? I know you went to you're ready, right?
I actually went to school to be a coach down there at Henderson, but I decided I didn't like the way they were being treated, coaches, so I got in the media. But I just felt like there's a lot of politics involved. She coaches smaller school, you got to play somebody's son, and it just kind of turned me off some of the stuff I saw. But whatever. I mean, but I was more interested in being a reporter anyway. I was a nerd, man. I'd send off when I was a kid. I'd send off to all the newspapers around the United States and asking for their all area, all state, all city teams. And they'd send a lot of them sent them to me. South Bend, Detroit, Free Press. I got them all over the country, Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why. I just was interested in that. And I'd cut their pictures out and tape them on the playing cards, ace, kings and stuff. No significance to which card, but I'd buy a bunch of decks, cards, and tape their pictures on that, and I followed it that way. I was being a nerd, man. I mean, just a geek, but I loved it. And I've had people say, I thought you were crazy, but you actually made a living doing that. And I actually thought you were crazy doing it. I've had people tell me that. I don't get mad. I mean, they said, I actually thought you were crazy doing that, man. But you've turned it into a career. So I guess there's worse things than doing that. But I felt like I was a nerd. I mean, I don't know. Recruiting wasn't even that big then. But I got Max Imfinger, Bill King, Pigskin Preps out of Alabama, Barry Holland, and what was the other guy's name? Barry Holland, and I want to say Tom somebody, but Barry Holland and another guy, Freddie Kirby at Pigskin Prep, Max Imfinger, Tom Lemming, Joe Terranova, Imfinger. Those guys, I bought their stuff, man, just because I was part of one of the few interested in then. This was when recruiting wasn't even big then. And I don't know why. I was just always attracted. I love the fact National Signing Day, you were talking about that earlier. Man, I just love to get all the papers, every paper came to Mena, Fort Smith, Tulsa, Democrat, or the Arkansas Gazette. Democrat didn't come till later on, but when it did, I got it actually, obviously too. But I'd buy any paper that was at the newsstand or at the paper racks in Mena and read recruiting and stuff and read the football stuff and basketball. But I don't know. I was just always interested. Now I don't even know why, but it's something I always liked. It's a weird obsession I had, and it almost was an obsession, but it was just something I really enjoyed doing, and I loved it even before it was even big. I mean, this was like only the diehards followed it back then,
So did you start out covering recruiting, or did you just start out just a sports journalist?
My first job in journalism was $50 a week at the Mina Star and writing 2 columns. Or I was supposed to cover the football team on Friday night and the follow up on Monday. What I did, I was getting paid for 2 stories. I wrote about 6 or 7 stories. They didn't use them all, but I just showed them I was interested and wanted to go above. Wasn't long after I did that till the sports editor left for another job. He got smart and got out of the business. And so they hired me as full-time sports editor, and I was covering sports down there, high school sports. And I think there was Akron, Mena, Hatfield, Van Cove, and Wicks, 5 high schools in the county. Only one played football. All 5 played basketball. 5 boys, 5 girls, junior highs and stuff, and then volleyball and, baseball, Mena. Yeah. But I did cover the Razorbacks even at the Mena Star. It was just it was a fascination I had. And Bob Carver, Mena was the spotter for the football team then. Okay. There was a lot of people in Mena interested in the Razorbacks. They really played. It's a Razorback town. So, yeah, I wrote about the Razorbacks too. My main job was covering the high school teams, but if we had enough room in paper, I'd write Razorback stuff too. And actually wrote a National Signing Day story every year and had as many pictures of the kids as I could get sent to me. I'd get a hold of these kids and their parents and stuff. And back then you could dial information. There's 2 or 3 Sterners in the book, or something. So you can figure out where their phone number was. But anyway,
I was going to ask how you got a hold of them back then. Now,
yeah, you just call information and get the last name, and as long as their name wasn't King, or if their name was Kirk or something, it really wasn't that hard to get it. But if it was King or Bell or something, probably a little bit tougher. But anyway, but no, a lot of times I'd write to high schools too, and I would write to high school coaches in Arkansas every year, every coach, and ask them, "Can you send me a name or names of any players you think will be SEC Division I think I said back then. Arkansas was in Southwest Conference, but well, it wasn't SEC. But I did that, and you'd be surprised how many high school coaches, actually took the time to respond to that. I had 1 or 2 that told me that if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, because you're making money off these kids. My answer to him was, Coach, if I ever make as much money doing this as you do, coaching these kids, then I'll be doing good. You're doing great. Right. So, I mean, making money was. When I did the newsletter, I didn't encourage I didn't encourage parents, let me put it that way, parents to subscribe. I'd offer to send them a free copy of it, but some of them was interested and they wanted every copy. So they subscribed. I think it was $50 back then. It wasn't like it was, I think that's what it was. But anyway, I mean, I didn't go into it with the intention of getting rich or anything, and I certainly wasn't getting rich, but it was something I enjoyed doing. I loved doing it. And but I mean, but no, I'd say 98% of the, and it really, I've gotten to be friends with that coach that said that now. I've gotten friends, and I get it. He was old school. He was old school, and it was different times back then, and he thought I was. And one thing I've always said, I will never hurt a kid. If I do, it'll be through ignorance, because I would never hurt a kid on purpose. It would kill me to do that. I would try to help them, and what I do may not help a kid, but the least I can do is not try to hurt him, and that's the way I've done it. And I've helped some kids. I know I have, because I've gotten scholarships because of what I've said, but I've also, probably most kids, it didn't affect the recruiting. I mean, Darren McFadden, I think I saw 8 games he played as senior, had no bearing on his recruiting. A kid was going to be recruited if he was, if I'd never written a story about him. So I'm not trying to say it, but, there are kids from smaller schools or kids that got overlooked back then, and I'm proud to help them. And that was something that's good. But I'd never try to hurt a kid on purpose. Never.
No,
if I ever did, it'd be through ignorance.
Yeah. No, you said, you've helped some kids kind of get discovered. Out of those that you kind of helped get discovered, who would you say would be the biggest wow name for us?
I got a name for you that Arkansas could have had they wanted him. Was Jeremy Shockey.
I remember hearing you say Jeremy Shockey.
I went to NEO to watch a running back. They were playing somebody from Kansas. I think it was that short running back. I think he ended up at I don't know where he ended up. Maybe Kansas or Kansas State back there. Real short running back. That's who I went to see. And I kept seeing this big kid, about 6'4", something, catching every pass. Looked like flat trapper, man. Every ball got near him, he caught. And I told Houston, I said, man, there's a kid over at NEO that was a qualifier, but nobody recruited him. He's like, his name's Jeremy Shockey, but he's only like 215 right then. And they thought he was too small to play tight end. I said, put him at wide receiver. And they didn't. And nobody signed him on signing day. That's what was crazy. And I went up to him at the end of the game, and he was sitting on the bench. They were way ahead, or I think they were way ahead. I think they were way ahead in that game. Anyway, he was sitting on the training table. He wasn't getting worked on. He was just sitting there watching. I went to him. I said, what's your name, man? He said, Jeremy Shockey. And I said, how'd you end up at NEO, which is in Miami, Oklahoma, if anybody doesn't know? And he said, nobody recruited me, man. I said, would you like to go to Arkansas? And he said, of course I would. So I told Arkansas, but anyway, nobody signed the kid in February on the National Signing Day. Nobody signed the kid. Well, Miami lost some kids they thought they were going to get on National Signing Day. So soon thereafter, they signed Jeremy Shockey, and the rest is history, man. But I mean, that could have been a game changer for the Hogs, Jeremy Shockey. And God, he was good. I mean, I know how he turned out. I know this and that. People, but I'm just telling you, man, when the kid was at NEO, he wasn't as big as he was later, but he's still 6'3", 6'4", whatever he was, 6'5", whatever he was. But he could catch anything. He looked like Robert Farrell, James Shebest, somebody like that. I think that's what I told you. I said, he looks like James Shebest, Robert Farrell, Fred Biletnikoff, Steve Largent. Somebody just caught everything near him, man. And I mean, the great hands, and he was tough.
Oh,
and, but that's one of the one.
And he grew, didn't he?
Yeah, that would have been a big one.
He grew, built that body up.
Oh yeah.
Well, Otis,
I don't know if everything was legal, he did, whatever he did.
As if you're getting an NFL pension, you did all right. And he's probably
I think so, man. I think his future turned out just fine,
That's right.
But it would have been interesting if he came to Arkansas, and I think he would have too. He told me he would, and I'm sure he would, because like I said, nobody even signed him it's always the first Wednesday in February, whatever that was. I don't remember the year now, but whatever year he was at NEO, the year that Wednesday, nobody signed him on first Wednesday in February, and then he went to Miami a few days. I don't remember how many days after that. It was a few days, but Miami lost some kids they thought they had on National Signing Day. It even happened back then, But yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, that was as good a player as I've ever seen that didn't have an offer right then. I mean, that was incredible, man.
Well, Otis, we call ourselves a fan podcast, okay? And fans, we say often on here, can be idiots, and and so one of the ways I've seen it, because I've followed recruiting for a long time and everything, and followed you and others. And one of the critiques that y'all get a lot is you'll talk a kid up and make them sound, you make them sound, of course, fans take it. You're just talking good about the kid is really all you're doing. But fans take it as you're building them up to be this, superhero player. And then they come to Arkansas and they may not end up being the super. They're not all Darren McFadden's, okay, which they're not gonna be. But fans, once again, are stupid. But I think part of that, and you can tell me you agree with this or not, is you're going to talk good about them because you get to know these guys, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I do.
You build relationships with them and their family. And
let's be honest about this. You never know how Orville Henry had said it best. Orville Henry told me one time, recruiting will make a liar out of you and me and everybody else. So,
that's right.
And that's what Orville told me. Orville was one of my idols, and he told me that, and and it's true. First place, Arkansas doesn't sign kids that can't play.
That's right. Yeah.
At high school. And that's what I'm going on is high school. And that's what anybody else is going on. Yeah. So they don't go out here and sign a kid. I can say, well, he sucks. Well, no, he didn't. Look, SEC schools and Southwest Conference schools, like Arkansas was really good back there. They didn't sign kids, especially when it got cut to 25, I mean, they didn't go sign kids that they didn't think could play. And they had to be pretty good in high school to get an offer or had some potential. So there was something there. Yeah, and I'm not going to trash a kid anyway. I mean, look, if he's got an offer to Arkansas, I never had one, so he's better than I am. So who am I to? But you never know. I tell people, and I try to stay away. And that, like I said, I was actually guilty of that early on, saying this kid's going to be great, and got burned a few times doing that. And I've learned to stay away from that. But I'm not going to trash a kid I don't think any kid going to Arkansas or Texas or anywhere should be trashed. Because if you're good enough to get a scholarship to an SEC school, you're better than the people running their mouths. You're better than me
Yeah.
as a player, better than I could have ever imagined being or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know, man. But I'm not going to trash a kid. Well, one thing I always ask these people, how would you feel if that was your kid?
That's right.
And you're sitting here saying, "Oh, he stinks. He can't do this." How would you feel if that was your kid that somebody was saying that about? Would you feel okay with that? And if you don't, then shut up. But
like I said,
I don't.
the other thing is you build relationships with these guys.
Well, yeah.
You're not now with the portal. I know you're maybe just having a few text conversations or a few. You're not building, but these high school kids sometimes you'll be following them for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, Darren McFadden, when I go
conversations with them, their mom and their daddy, their grandparents.
I go see Darren McFadden play. I'd come over on the sideline, go down there before the game, and every time he'd ask his coaches, "Okay," he'd come over and give me a hug before every game. Darren McFadden did. I love that guy. I love him today, man. I still think he's the greatest thing I've ever seen. But I mean, and I've been to All-America games where I've seen kids not in Arkansas play, and he's as good as I've ever seen. But there again, I've said that a million times, so I'll get off that horse. But I think that, I mean, I build relationships with these kids, and a lot of times with their parents. And I mean, it's just, and look, parents can be difficult at times. I can tell you some stories I've had with parents, not at me, but just unrealistic expectations about their kids. And, hey, we're probably all guilty of that some. So, I mean, but I just don't believe in trashing a kid that gets an offer to Arkansas. I don't believe in trashing kids that don't get offers to Arkansas. Sure. So I'm not going to trash a kid, but I don't know, man. If somebody wants me to say, "Oh, he sucks," it's not going to happen. And I mean, if you don't like that, you can unfollow, don't read, whatever you want to do, because that's fine, and that's fine with me. But I do know you can say somebody's going to be pretty good, and you're basing that on a lot of things like potential, what he did in high school, how you project him to college, and it's not always going to turn out that way. It's not always.
If the Raiders would have known Jamarcus Russell wouldn't have been terrible at quarterback in the NFL, they wouldn't have drafted #1 overall and gave him millions of dollars. They wouldn't have done it. It's an inexact science when you evaluate talent.
It is, and I can tell you the opposite of that. I went and watched Putnam City play one time. See Myron McKinney, an offensive lineman who was committed to Arkansas, ended up signing with Oklahoma State. Called himself Mr. Razorback. And the team they played that night beat the crap out of him. The quarterback was Sam Bradford. And I never said this to anybody publicly, but I just said he threw like 3 or 4 interceptions that night, And I said, I'm not impressed with Sam Bradford. And so, therefore, you watch somebody play one time and say, I'm not impressed. All the kid did was win the Heisman Trophy at OU and be the first pick in the NFL draft. And I'd look stupid if I'd have trashed that kid in public. So that's why I stay away from that, because you can be wrong, you can be right, or you can be wrong. And I just said I wasn't impressed with him. I didn't think he was as good as everybody had him ranked. I think it was a 4 or 5-star recruit, probably a 5. But that was one game, and he had a bad game. And he threw 3 or 4 or 5 interceptions. I mean, he couldn't throw it in the ocean that night. Yeah. He had a game that a lot of quarterbacks have, and it was a bad night, and that's the only thing I could judge him on. And I told a few people close to me I wasn't impressed with, but if I'd gone public with that, then I'd look like a fool, a total fool, because like I said, he went to OU, won the Heisman. He's pretty dang good. So I mean, that's why you've got to refrain from being, and that's why I try not to build him up to be too great either. It didn't bother me to say Darren McFadden was going to be great, because I knew he was. If he didn't get hurt, I knew he was going to be great. But there ain't very many I can say that about. I saw Felix Jones playing Van Buren when he was a junior, maybe junior or senior. I think it was junior. And I said he's going to be a very good player too, man. Felix Jones is going to be good. And it looked like he was going to Tennessee on the night before signing day, and Bobby Allen flipped him that morning on signing day. But Felix Jones, I knew would be good. Peyton Hillis, another one I knew. Those guys, though, it was easy to say they were going to be good, because those were really the only thing that would have kept them, any of those 3 from being very good, great, was the injuries. And you can't predict injuries. But I knew Hillis, Jones, and McFadden were all going to be studs. I thought Matt Jones would be. I mean, that kid was so big and fast. I thought Matt Jones was really good. Some of those guys. But, it's just but you can get trouble saying something negative if you only see him play once or twice. Because, like I said, if I'd gone out with Sam Bradford, I would have looked like an idiot later on, which maybe I was, but I would have removed all doubt with that statement that he wasn't very good.
Well,
Sometimes
and
better keep
Otis,
your mouth shut than let people assume than open it and expose yourself.
well, with college football and with college sports in general, but especially, since we're kind of talking about football a little bit, the recruiting world has changed so much, and so could you talk just maybe about the way as someone who covers it and that's your life pretty much. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest changes with with the NIL, with the transfer portal? What's kind of the things that you would say, wow, these are the biggest changes that for the
Biggest change
positive or
came
negative?
the biggest change came even before NIL and transfer portal. It came because recruiting has gone year round.
Oh,
See, it
yeah,
wasn't when I first started. That's been the biggest change.
yeah,
Back then, if somebody committed in August, I think James Rouse committed in August or September, and boy, that was unusual.
yeah,
But now, I mean, it'd be a late addition. Just recruiting's changed to the fact it's a year round now. It used to not be. Money now, I don't know that if a kid grows up in Arkansas, I don't hear I dreamed of playing for the Razorbacks as much. You hear it some, but now I
mm,
think how much can you give me? How much money?
yeah,
There's still some that do, but
yeah,
it's changed, and I'm sure that's the same if you said Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas. It's changed a lot.
mm,
Obviously, the transfer portal is a fact. Used to, when Arkansas signed somebody, you knew they'd probably be here 3 or 4 or 5 years. Now, you don't know if they'll be here more than 6 months or a
yeah,
season. So, if that, so but the biggest change that I've seen, even before all this, was just the fact it's going year round. In fact, if I'd have known the changes that was coming, I might have found a different profession. Man, I don't know that I would have, but it's just it
yeah,
wears you out, man. It really does. And I'm not, it's just so it's almost every day
yeah,
anymore. And if it's not, and even the days they don't get some kind of news, somebody leaving, somebody signing, somebody committing, you don't know that it's not going to happen. So you've got to kind of be on alert. So
that's right.
it's like being a doctor without doctor's pay is what it amounts to, like being an emergency room doctor without
Yeah,
getting doctor pay. But I've done okay at that. I mean, I've made better money at this than I would have anything else. And the biggest thing is I've never worked a day. It's fun. It's
mm,
not a job. I punched tickets when I got out of school. I graduated high school at 16. I went to these lumber yards and told them I was 18 and stacked lumber,
mm,
rolled timbers and stuff. So I punched the clock before, and
that's
I
right.
know this is a lot better than that. If I ever get
That's
to feeling
right.
sorry for myself at 11 o'clock at night, I think back, you could be rolling timbers on a frozen uh, ramp,
There
so
you
shut up and
go.
get to work, bud.
That's right.
So, Otis, how much do you think? I mean, you obviously knew what the talent level was last year, and you've wrote a lot about the talent level this year. How much did Ryan Silverfield and this crew improve the talent level of the University of Arkansas, in your opinion?
I think a lot. I felt like last year on offense, so I felt like they were loaded. If they could just avoid turning the ball over, I think they would have won a lot of games last year with the talent they had. Uh, those turnovers, they would probably. Ole Miss went in the playoffs and went to the semifinals, and Arkansas had them beat had they not fumbled, or I think they would have had them beat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Memphis they probably had beat if Mike Washington doesn't
Yeah.
fumble there inside the 5. So I mean, and then if you start 4-0, it's a different story. The whole thing is flipped around.
Yeah.
But I on defense, they were lacking talent. You had Quincy Rhodes, Kim Ball, Julian Neal. You had some guys that could play, but you didn't have enough. You didn't have near the studs on defense. But I think part of that came back to this. I don't think Sam had the NIL money, so he went and spent a lot of it on offense and didn't have to spend on defense. Whereas I think Silverfield's had more money to spend, and I think he's done a better job of balancing the team. He really emphasized a lot of defense, didn't ignore offense, though. And I think
Yeah.
he's had the money to do that. And so I think he's upgraded the talent quite a bit. We'll see. That'll all be proven on the field one way or the other. But getting KJ Jackson, Quincy Rose to return, CJ Brown, some of those guys he got to return, Courtney Crutchfield, I'm really impressed with that. And I think I think Silverfield's done it. I don't know what he could have done better than what he's done. I really don't. I mean, to me, I'm not hyping the guy up. I'm just saying, to me, he's checked a lot of boxes that I had for the new coach, regardless of who it was, and started out getting those Arkansas kids, as many as you could, to flip. Trying to keep the kids committed. Colton Yarborough and those guys. I was a 4-star out of Oklahoma, #1 player in the state. They did sign. So, I think he did that. And then he went to Portland. He got these kids, like I said, he got some older players, some kids that play immediately, but he also got some kids, like I said, that were 4- and 5-star recruits, #1, #2, #3 players in their state as seniors. They went to somewhere and didn't play, so they transferred to Arkansas. And, man, I tell you, the defensive tackle, the big kid from Oregon, I saw him at a camp up here and he was just blew me away, and I just think that they're going to be really good, and so we'll see. But
the quarterback from Maryland, we beat Ohio State out for him, so
they
it
beat
wasn't
Ohio
like
State, get Lakai rolling, yeah. So I mean, so it's crazy how it's turned out, but that's just kind of the way it's been. I love Terrence Robertson from OBU,
I was going to ask you about him. Do you think he's got a chance to start at that right tackle
I
position?
saw him at the camp. I thought when he was going into senior year from Warren, I thought he was the best player at the Arkansas camp. And Sam offered him a walk-on scholarship or walk-on offer. I thought he was the best player at that camp. He beat every lineman up here, and I just thought he was outstanding. So I don't know, but but anyway, yeah, they did. They beat Ohio State to get Lakai and Xavier Sims. I'm sorry, I went blank on his name. I don't know why, because I've known the kid since the 9th or 10th grade. He went to Oklahoma, Durant, and was #1 player in the state. But Xavier Sims, yeah, losing my mind, but I guess Alzheimer's kicked in, but whatever. But I mean, like I said, I saw him at a camp. And that's the thing. I've seen a lot of these kids at camp. And Arkansas didn't get him. He was at Denison, Texas at the time, going into his sophomore season, I believe. He was at Denison. Maybe he's going into junior season, but he was at Denison at that time. He ended up transferring to Durant, where Colton was from. He became the #1 player in Oklahoma. He went to Oregon, and then he played 2 years there. He had 1 tackle last year. He was behind a bunch of studs, and he's going to be good. I'll be surprised if Sims is not a stud here at Arkansas. And he's got 3 years to play. So, hopefully they can keep him those 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I love that. Goes back to what I said earlier about getting some of these players like Sims and these guys that were young that didn't get to play at the schools they were at, but they were previously top players in their state,
Yeah. Well, there was I was going to ask your opinion on something we've talked about a little bit on here, but there was an article came out today, I guess. I don't know who did it. Maybe one of your competitors. If so, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
About, Houston Nutt being sort of, held at arm's length in the past with Urachek and them. And don't you think they need to figure out a way to get him in there
What
somehow?
I've said to that, yeah, I think Dudley wrote that, if I'm not mistaken. He is a co-worker at Hogville. He does some stuff for other, not papers, but other websites.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dudley wrote that. I have not had a chance to read, but I think I saw him tweet about it. It's how I know who wrote it. But I've said all along, whether it's Houston, which would be great in my opinion, but whether it's Houston or somebody, they need to get some Arkansas flavor in the athletic department. I mean, there's other qualified people, Scanlon, Madre. I mean, there's so many qualified, David Basil. I mean, there's qualified people, but started with Jeff Long and it went to Urachek. It just seemed like they wanted to erase all the Arkansas history. Yeah. And I'd love to see if it's Houston, great. That'd be great. But if it's not Houston, there's other qualified people. Just get some people from Arkansas. Man, I hear that from a lot of the players.
Yeah.
A lot of the recruits. I can't relate to those people. There's nobody from up there. The former players, I hear that a lot from former players more than recruits. But former players, I'm still friends with a lot of those guys. And because I covered them in recruiting and stayed friends with them. And I hear that a lot from those guys. Yeah. There's just nobody I can relate to up there. And I think not only that, I think they've tried to erase some. I think David Basil pointed that out. Yeah. On X, I believe it was, or somewhere David pointed that out, maybe on the radio. I don't listen, but somewhere I saw it. I know he put it on X because I retweeted it. But he talked about they moved the trophies to a different location. It's just stuff like that.
Well, he said a lot of the trophies are in a storage building in Rogers.
Yeah, why are you doing that, man? I mean, why? Yeah. That makes no sense.
Tell me there's not a place somewhere to put those up.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that until David said that.
Yeah.
And I talked to David later on it before a football game here at Arkansas. After he said that, I talked to him. We were standing in line to get in, and I talked to David about that. And I just think it stinks, man. But there again, it's not just Houston. It's not just David. There's qualified people. It just seems like to me they don't want anybody with Arkansas ties in that athletic department, and that stinks, man. It really does.
That article talked about how Silverfield is starting to reach out to former players, and one of them he interviewed was Peyton Hillis.
Yeah,
Peyton said he called him recently, and he said and they've talked back and forth a little bit. But I'll tell you what I think they need to do, Otis. I think they need to get the Razorback clubs going back again.
Oh, no doubt.
And let Houston be the MC for it. Let him be the Paul Wills.
Yeah,
let him be the Paul Wills, kind of, because Clint and I graduated in 94. Clint and I graduated high school in 94, so we were kind of, really starting our, intense fandom. And that, of course, that's when Razorback football, the Danny Ford era wasn't as exciting for us, except for that one year there. But, man, the coaching show was must watch. And I wanted to hear it because I wanted to hear Houston fire, the pregame speeches and all that stuff. And
hard to beat, man.
He could, if you want to get the state back together and get that, get those things going again and let Houston be the face of that or be part of it, have him bring some players and, you got the players on these NIL deals, bring a player or two with him and bring a coach with him or whatever. And, media people or whoever else, and man, I think that'd be just a home run.
Well, I do know Silverfield did reach out to Peyton because Peyton's on Pig Trail Nation too. And I do know that Silverfield did reach out to him and say, Arkansas, you're welcome. You guys are welcome over here anytime you want to come. Yeah. So, or something to that extent. I wasn't privy to the conversation, but it was something to the extent you're welcome here anytime. And yeah, I think that's a good step forward. It's not Silverfield. I don't even think it was so much Petrino in there. I think it's been more Long and then Yurchek. I don't know, man. I just feel like,
I agree.
I don't think it's been so much, even, Pittman and those guys. Maybe it was, I don't know, but Pittman could get paranoid about practices and wanting people to come there, and he could get paranoid, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's above them. I think it's above their pay scale. And I think it's been the ADs more than anything else. And that's unfortunate because I do wish Silverfield hired somebody with Arkansas ties on his staff. That was the only question I asked him for Nate Allen. The last conversation I had with Nate Allen before he died was he texted me that Sunday and said, I'm too sick to go to the press conference. Well, will you ask Coach Silverfield this? And I did. And even though he was dead by then, I'd have felt remiss if I hadn't asked the question. And, I had a question for Hunter, but I didn't want to embarrass myself, start crying there. So I handed the microphone to Christina Long sitting next to me and gave it to her. So I only got one question in, but I could have gotten, I was going to ask two, but I couldn't do it. And, it was just, it's unfortunate, man. But I hope it takes a big turn. And I do think when Yurchek leaves, and he will leave eventually, one way or the other. I mean, they all leave. We all leave. But I think he will. I hope then somebody at the university, board of trustees or somebody steps in and gets somebody with some Arkansas tie. If it's Houston, great. If it's not, then get somebody else, but get somebody. And I love Houston Nutt, man. I mean, I think the world of Houston. He was great to me during the football when he was here. So I like Houston. I like all the coaches except one that's coached here. So, and believe me, it's not Bobby Petrino. I like Bobby Petrino.
No, I know who it is, but I'm not going to say the head coach.
Yeah, and he treated me like dirt. Brett Bielema treated me like dirt. I don't like the guy.
Well, I'll let you said it.
I know. I said
where it worked.
I put that out before. I mean, he treated me like dirt, and and for no reason. I've never been out to get anybody. In fact, I've told him and most people. Some people consider me the biggest homer in the business, so I've never been out to get anybody, man. Yeah. That's not my deal. I actually quit a job one time because I felt like somebody in the media was out to get somebody, and I quit a job because of that, making a lot of money, and so I'm not into that, and I've never done that, and but that's a story for another day. That's history. That's 7, 8, 9 years ago. But I said that one time, didn't name his name, and somebody told Bobby I was talking about him. I just want to make it clear I'm not. Bobby knows I like him, man. I love Bobby Petrino. I thought he was great. I got mad when they fired him. I kind of got it, but still got mad. But no, I'm not talking about Petrino at all. There's a lot of people didn't like him, but I did. And I mean, only thing I go by is not how many games they win. I like John L. Smith. I like Chad Morris. They were good to me. But I don't like people it's not good to me. And if they're good to me, I like them. I'm not saying that Chad Morris should be the coach of Arkansas or John L. should. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I like the guys. I like my dog. That doesn't mean he needs to be in dog shows or anything. So I mean, because I like somebody doesn't mean anything. But anyway, yeah.
Give him a chance for those dog shows.
So Otis, I saw where On Three's got the Power Class ranked number 9 in the country. And ESPN doesn't even have us in the top 25. Which one's closer to being right in your opinion?
I think On Three is, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased, but I just think I don't know what else. Like I said earlier, he could have done. I don't know what else he could have done that he hasn't done at Arkansas. And I've got a bulldog talking to me, but anyway, I'd say closer to 9. I really do. I don't know which is 9th, 10th. 15th or 1st. I mean, I don't know, but I'd probably LSU's first. But I mean, I don't know where it ranks because I haven't studied all the classes, but I know this is a good class.
Well, the only thing that you've got that really would concern me going into next year, then it'd be like, oh my goodness, was that we saw KJ Jackson play some. You saw AJ Hill play in relief. You got to think one of those two guys are going to be your quarterback. You're going to have, there's going to be competition, and one of those guys is going to win it. But you don't know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You just don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback, and you don't have a proven commodity back there. Yeah, and that's the only thing that would scare you going into next season.
I can see where that would scare people. It's a concern, but I think KJ can handle it, KJ Jackson, but I don't know. I mean, he's got to go out here and do it. So, I mean,
I'll tell you,
that's what we saw.
He won us over, and it wasn't anything he did on the field. It was when he scored that touchdown was it the Missouri game?
It's
Texas game. And they tried to give him the belt on the sideline, and he said, nope, I don't want it. Did you see that? Yeah. I love that. I was like, he's like, we're getting killed right here, and I'm not going to celebrate getting a touchdown. Right. In a meaningless touch. It was his first touchdown as a Hog, I think. And so to me, that says a lot about the young man. Yeah. And, I tend to root for, I want them to do good on the field, but if they're good young men like that and show some things like that, I'm going to root for him even more.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I know him, and I know KJ. I'm not saying great friends, I know him real well, but I know him, and and he's there
we go.
There's the boss man.
Yeah, that's the boss man. So he's anyway, I know KJ a little bit, or much as anybody, but he's a good kid, and I think he'll be okay. But there again, I don't know that, there again, he's got the chance. It goes back to what I said earlier. What he does with the chance is up to him, man. So we'll see.
I heard Pat McAfee and the Talking Heads on there talking about, look, you just got to get in the building. Mm-hmm. You got to get in the building, and then what you do from there. So he's got the opportunity. So it's just what he does with it. And I like what I saw. The only thing I'm saying is, that's the one thing. If you ask me, as a guy that runs his mouth on a podcast once a week, what scares me? It's not the offensive line. It's not the receivers. It's not the tight ends. Not even really the running backs. It's okay. I just don't know what I have at quarterback right now.
Yeah, and
I've got a good idea. I was really excited when KJ said he's coming back. I'm really excited about signing AJ Hill, but I don't.
Well, yeah, and that goes with. That's the one position you don't want to have question marks at. So, but if he's good, I think the offense will be good. I really do. Yeah. But we'll see how he turns out. I think he'll be fine, but we'll see. And I know more about him than I do AJ Hill, and I've understood that Hill's pretty. I've met Hill. He's a big kid. I say this: if you want size, he's the man. He's big. He's a legit. Good. He's probably 6'4", 215. His daddy's a big guy too. But we'll see how it turns out. And then I think the kid they got from Fayetteville High School. I think he's going in time, not this year, but in time, I think, I think he'll be fine. We'll see. Time will tell.
Otis, man, our time is out. We sure appreciate you coming on here, and it means a lot to us, and classing up the joint for us a little bit.
No, we appreciate you slumming it for just an hour.
That's right. That's right.
No, I appreciate you guys.
Hopefully it was
bearable. Like I told Travis, I'd rather come on here and try to help you than I would like an SEC network, which I've been on there. But like I said, and I'm not saying take a chance y'all because you've done this 6 years. I get that, but I'm just saying it helps build. Maybe it'll help build up y'all's deal. I hope it does, at least for one show. You may lose some people over it. I don't know, but hopefully not. But anyway,
it'll do nothing but
an honor that you asked me. Believe me, it's not something that it's not like I did y'all a favor. Believe me, I appreciate y'all asking me, and I appreciate my bulldog not holding off till the end to bark at sidewalk dogs.
Otis, when me and Travis both put out little things whenever the Alex Golish rumor got out there, and the amount of hate we got was unbelievable. And one guy told us, he goes, "You've lost your only listener," and I said, "We have 5 listeners." And he goes, "Well, now you're down to 4." I go, "Okay."
Nate Allen always said he had 3 readers, man.
That's right.
At his funeral, it looked like he had a lot more than 3. But that's what Nate Allen always said. My 3 readers read this, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, and that there again, that goes back to when somebody criticizes me, that's fine because I've got more praise than I probably have ever deserved. Bulldog, please stop for a minute. But anyway, thanks you guys for asking me, man.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm gonna stop recording, but stay on just a second. We want to say goodbye to you then, and
okay,
and then we'll let you go. All right,
yeah.
Folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget we're on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, all the places. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Otis, thanks again, man. Clint, have a great rest of the week, folks. Be safe out there on the roads if they're still icy where you're at, and
they are.
Go Hogs.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Thanks again for
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard ground so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come.